Holy, Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 7 was not playing. I'd argue this is one of the most disturbing moments of the show, and don't get it mistaken, there's a lot of blood-filled, gore-filled scenes over the course of Season 1. But I find the way they handled a 12-year-old boy and his little sister stealing some flour, some meat, so that his mother and sister would be able to live and survive. And the way they handled the punishment with this lie that the master has been living with. Apparently, his legacy, this iron fist, he would shatter his weapon and basically would punch his way to victory. This horrible, if not violent menace that very much seems very similar to his son, turns out is a complete lie. It's a story, it's a fabrication, it's not what happened at all. And to see him over the course of this episode try to find a way to let these kids just escape punishment. Why did you have to steal from me? I'm not the type of person who wants to punish a child for just wanting to eat. And by the end of the episode, to see what the punishment was, at first they bait you in, they say, hey, he'll just work off his father's debt, his own debt, and all will be well. No arms will be lost. And the fact that his son comes in and then starts beating him to that point that he has to do it himself. I was not expecting it to get this heavy, this mature, all within such a short amount of time. But leave it to Vinland Saga Season 2 to prove me and probably most people wrong. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's insane episode available on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full uncut thoughts to this heavy episode, head on over there and consider supporting, because this was hands down, I think, the best episode for me anyway of the season. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a very complex situation. It's a pretty disgusting time period in general. Just look at the scene, right? So this boy gets that punished because, yes, he stole. He had sticky fingers. Of course, it's a crime. We get that. But look at a family starving. Father ran out, probably dead at this point. No person to make money, no person to really bring home food, and you have a family to support. Who wouldn't end up stealing so that their mother, their sister, their siblings wouldn't starve? Most people would do exactly that. And the fact that shortly after his punishing scene, we see the crew just literally, his son, this horrible monstrosity. I mean, yes, it's just the time period, I get it. But the fact that he has a whole chicken to himself and you punish a boy for stealing a bag of flour, right? It's just like, it just doesn't sit well because anyone with empathy sees that the system ain't right. And to see him, the master that is, just at the end, with Einar's girl-ish, I'm not really going to say it's actually his girl, but, you know, the fact of the matter is, the person he talks with every single morning, who apparently, the master's actual wife beats the living hell out of if you don't make her breakfast quick enough and you dilly-dally chit-chatting. The fact that he just is crying up there, being like, no one knows the real me but you, and you can see she's not interested. There's no love there, there's no feels like, oh, she's in love with him, but for him, like, that's his literal only connection, something that gives him comfort because he's a softie. He doesn't like what he's doing, and I mean, it's a complex situation. If you steal from someone, you have to punish them, right? Because otherwise, if thievery goes unpunished, everyone will realize and they'll do the same thing, and eventually there will be no law of order. However, I think the idea of making a kid work it off, it was good. It was a punishment that made sense, right? He's too young to cut off arms or do all these horrible things, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this man's got the right idea, but we're still gonna beat him because he needs to have that fear. And that was when it was just, you knew it wasn't gonna be pretty. And I think what this season's doing a really good job at, and Vinland Saga in general, is characters in this show are never just you like them or you hate them or you think they're a good person or a bad person. In general, you probably have a bit of both feelings. I think you can look at characters like Torkil, you can look at characters like Thorfinn, right? These are characters that have done horrible acts that make you say, why would you do that? Then they have acts where you're like, I can't believe how much I love this action. And I think when you look at a character like Snake, he's a great representation of that. There's moments with him towards Thorfinn that literally saved their life, and you just look at him and say, damn, I really like his character. But then you see the moments when he's like emptying the flour bag and it's just threatening to get him to spill information, and just like, it makes you uncomfortable. But that's what Vinland Saga does, is it makes you uncomfortable because it's an uncomfortable time period. And the fact of the matter is, these slaves are being treated like slaves, and thieves are being treated like thieves. The age doesn't matter, but it doesn't change the fact that most viewers watching will be very disturbed watching it, and that makes for very good television. And For an episode with barely any Einar, barely any Thorfinn, the only real content we get with them is the very beginning, where basically they're planting their crops, they're talking about how, like, hey, I wonder if she also has the same deal we have, like, we have the potential to buy our freedom. Yeah, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt she has that same freedom pact in mind here, but it is nice to see them feel happy for a change, right? Feel like there's hope. I still worry that eventually their crops are either going to be stolen, they're either going to be trampled upon, whether humans or animals, like, there's just worry signs in my mind right now. But it was a good intro to lead us into everything else. The fact that in the dead of night they track the tracks to obviously the kid's home, and just to see it, like, I think what they did a brilliant job with is, if you look at the boy, right, I think in any other show, if you were to just look at that character design, you kind of assume, oh, that's a thief, right? It kind of has like the same character design I've seen a lot of shows go with when it comes to either a scummy character, a thieving character, or something like that. But by having him next to his little sister who looks innocent and pure, it's such a great reminder that you can't judge a book by its cover. You don't truly know the reason a character's doing something, and clearly it wasn't because, oh, we have all this and we just like to punish the wealthy. No, it's he wanted to eat. He wanted to not starve. And to see the beating he got, the fact that they wanted to cut both of his hands off because he's like, give me my sister's punishment. It was painful. It was absolutely painful to watch, but that's what makes Vinland Saga such a compelling adventure. Whenever you watch an episode of this show, whichever arcs we're in, whether from season 1 now into the farmland arc, we feel like what we're seeing here is reality. It doesn't come across as an anime story trying to glorify or sugarcoat things. It just feels like a very bad time period that you're glad you're not a part of. And I think they did one hell of a job really getting across just how brutal this environment is. And the fact that just like building up to it, right? Like I wasn't sure where they're going. Like at first the screen was getting a little blurry. I didn't even clue in that it might be him crying because literally moments prior they're talking about how he was a brutal warrior. Yes, what we've seen in present day, the fact that he seemingly is a pretty nice master, if you look at what a nice master can be in this world, he's offering Thorfinn and Einar a way out, which most people wouldn't do. But to see how much of a softy he was over the course of it, I was like, man, he really changed since he became a farmer, only to have the reality come crashing down that it's just a lie, that he was never this person. And the fact that he's scared of his son, I mean, who the hell wouldn't be scared of that son? I would be too. I mean, that's the type of son you don't associate with. He does not seem like a great person. And the fact that the necklace of ears, it just says it all. But thoughts and feelings yourself on this episode down below. What do you think? What do you hope to see going forward in this season? Do let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, and of course, as I mentioned, I got that full live reaction available on my Patreon. And while you're there, you can also get yourself a video shoutout. So today, we got LK, PF, TD, and Sphinx. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.